Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Bruce Frisco. It is Tuesday, July the 28th, and this is CTV News. Tonight, another premier protest. Different communities, similar reception for Tim Houston. On the table, New Brunswick Premier says energy might be a tool in the tariff war. Light in the darkness, a new memorial for fallen police officers.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News. Here is Bruce Frisco.
Good evening. It was not as volatile as a recent encounter in Wolfville, but more protesters converged on Nova Scotia's premier in Bridgewater today. Demonstrators with a whole list of grievances against the PC government rallied at the premier's latest stop of a provincial tour. CTV's Emma Convey was there as well.
And you want to move me apart like I'm nobody. Yeah, well, answer the question. Show me the titles of my land.
Thanks for coming out, everyone. I appreciate it.
Show me the titles.
A not-so-warm welcome for Premier Tim Houston in Bridgewater today, arriving in the town for a stop on his summer tour, initially greeted by a protest.
It would be rare that I didn't stop and hear that and engage. Like, I enjoy that, and it's necessary for our democracy. Sometimes you can tell when a crowd doesn't want to engage.
He says this crowd, for the most part, was one that just wanted a discussion, and he welcomes that.
I'd like to talk later.
Okay.
And we're very civil.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Happy to talk on any issues. Doesn't mean we're going to agree, but I'm happy to have a chat on it.
Among the topics discussed at today's Chamber of Commerce luncheon, healthcare, energy, a stronger economy, and how to keep young people in the province. Bridgewater's Mayor David Mitchell brought up the issue of cell service.
If you draw a circle that's 1 minute outside of Bridgewater in every direction, there's no cellular coverage. And so just kind of joining forces and recognizing that we need some improvement in rural cellular coverage, which he talked about.
While outside, those protesting say they want the Premier to listen. And it wasn't just one issue.
Definitely the lack of Indigenous consultation, the lack of honoring treaties, taking off the ban on uranium mining and fracking, the cuts to arts and culture.
Some were picketing.
Cover what we need, help us work, help us get what we deserve. Give us a fair wage that we can keep employees.
While in town, the Premier spoke at an announcement for about 20 new townhouse units for healthcare workers.
We know that housing can be a stressor for many people, and certainly for healthcare workers when we're trying to retain them and recruit them. So projects like this just try to mitigate that stressor.
Tim Houston's State of the Province tour continues with his next stop in Pictou County tomorrow. Emma Convey, CTV News, Bridgewater.
Nova Scotia police believe there are adults out there who were targeted years ago by an accused sexual predator. 67-year-old Stephen Frederick Nelson was supposed to appear in court today for a bail hearing, but that was pushed back because the accused was having problems with his hearing aids. Tipped off in April, investigators searched a home in Pictou County last week and seized some electronic devices and some firearms.
Then comes the examination of the devices, and if you can imagine, a person who is seeking out child sexual abuse and exploitation material can do that before they're sharing it on social media. So that could be instances where a person could be making their own or taking advantage of other situations. So that's why we want to speak to anyone who has a history with Mr. Nelson, who may have been a victim of this type of criminal offense.
So again, that's because RCMP believe there may be additional victims who are now adults. Investigators are hoping they will come forward.
Get the Maritimes top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Hundreds of Nova Scotia power workers will vote on a new offer from the utility later this week. That's according to their union. In a statement, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 1928, says the utility reached out with an enhanced offer yesterday after the union issued a 48-hour strike notice. The statement says the offer included a $1,000 signing bonus. Members will vote on it until noon Friday. The IBEW represents about 800 NSP workers. New Brunswick's premier not ruling out using energy as leverage to end U.S. tariffs that are hurting the province. Still, Susan Holt says she'd rather do whatever it takes to land a trade deal. CTV's Anna Mandan explains.
1 week after the U.S. announced sweeping 50% tariffs on Canadian goods, New Brunswick Premier Susan Holt says she's ready to do whatever's needed to help Canada make a deal and remove the tariffs.
We're really supportive of whatever efforts Canada needs to take to get to the kind of free and fair trade that we used to have with the United States.
And that includes potentially using the province's energy exports to New England.
We have to be very strategic about how we use the leverage that we have. But I think one of my colleagues around the table used the quote, you need to walk softly and carry a big stick.
The tariffs, which are expected to go into effect next month, are wide-reaching, impacting everything from electronics to alcohol to molasses. But an associate law professor at the University of New Brunswick says threatening energy could be risky.
I think that it's a good idea to walk carefully when you try to redirect as a sort of a way to force the hand of a trading partner.
There's decades and decades of research that show that no one wins when tariffs are slapped on.
Amidst hope, a deal can be found before the next round of tariffs hits Canada's economy on August 19th. Anna Mandan, CTV News, Fredericton.
A horrific story from Nova Scotia's Lunenburg County tonight, where thousands of chickens have died following a barn break-in. Officers were called to a facility on Nogler Road in Pine Grove on Saturday morning. Police say about 10,000 birds died after the barn was broken into and the ventilation fans were turned off. And it may have been deliberate.
As far as we know, there's nothing that was stolen or missing, other than people gaining an illegal entry in the farm and tampering with the system.
Police are asking anyone with information on the break and enter to call them or Crime Stoppers. Cape Breton Regional Police asking for help in piecing together details of a fatal fire over the weekend. A body was discovered at this property in McAdams Lake. It's a rural area east of Eskasoni. Police initially responded to a missing persons complaint at Beachmont Road. That person was last heard from on July 22nd. Police instead found a residence that had been destroyed by fire and located a body on the property. Anyone with information there is being urged to contact Cape Breton Regional Police. Now to a small business owner in Moncton who's frustrated with vandalism, filth, and crime that her shop has had to deal with. Along with neighborhood drug use, she's dealt with the theft of copper wire from her HVAC system. That cost $2,000 to replace. Frustrated, she's been sharing her stories on social media and getting an immediate response.
What did I do wrong? I don't think I ever deserved this. I'm a hard worker, like I'm working 13 hours a day.
She's telling a story that so many shop owners have, so many business owners in the downtown and surrounding areas.
Cora Vos says she's sympathetic to the problems associated with addiction, but notes she has a story as well. Well, you may or may not have noticed during your last grocery trip, but vegetables, dairy, and even baked goods are less expensive here in our region. In fact, the latest figures from Dalhousie's Agri-Food Lab show at least 2 East Coast cities saw large decreases in food prices last month. But spoiler, meat prices are still high. CTV's Vanessa Wright has all the numbers for us.
Cheddar Meat Market has been in business for more than 50 years. Today, they're still standing. Their competitive prices, no doubt, have something to do with that.
For the last 2-3 months, we have an increase of about 20%. Our prices are very reasonable compared to the others.
The price of meat continues to take a bite out of grocery bills. Pork climbed by 24%, salmon by 25%, and bacon prices are up nearly 29%.
So these are changes month to month, not year to year, month to month. So you can see that really proteins are still a factor.
But after months of inflated food costs, the region is finally seeing steady prices in other places. Dalhousie's Agri-Food Lab found 30 of the 50 national food categories have trended down. Tomatoes went down by 4.7%, onions by 5%, romaine lettuce by 6.6%, and broccoli is down nearly 24%.
We are surprised to see the produce section being cheaper in the Atlantic. So if there is a region that actually needed a break, it's certainly the Atlantic, because it's been really tough.
Dalhousie's report also looked at prices in 13 Canadian cities, 7 of which saw an increase in their 50-item basket and 6 saw decreases. St. John saw the largest dip at 4.2%. Halifax came in second at 3.6%.
It doesn't mean that that Halifax is less expensive. It means our report is showing that prices are trending down the most in the country.
But the good news is lately the price of beef seems like it's going down.
Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Halifax.
Blue-green algae has shut down another maritime beach for the time being. Officials in Halifax say Oakfield Beach in Oakfield Provincial Park is closed for recreational use after the algae turned up in testing. Although naturally occurring, experts say some kinds of the algae produce toxins, which of course can be harmful to people and pets. Beachgoers being urged to avoid contact with the water until test results give the all clear. Still to come tonight, Kaylin's full forecast and something to talk about. We'll explore why so many kids are using the services of Kids Help Phone these days. Coming up next, though, two-wheeled troubles.
They're limited to the roadways with 50-kilometer-hour maximums or less.
E-scooters are everywhere these days, but some riders are apparently forgetting the basic rules of the road. Details are next. Stay with us. E-scooters are everywhere these days, of course, but it seems some riders are forgetting the basic rules of the road. Here's CTV's Jesse Thomas.
They're becoming a more common sight on Halifax streets and trails. Halifax police want riders to understand where they can and cannot go, and other rules around safety gear and speed.
They're limited to the roadways with 50-kilometer-hour maximums or less, unless specified by posted signage. Helmets have to be worn at all times. They have to be used in the bike lanes and not on the sidewalk. And they are able to be used on multi-use pathways. Also, some people may not know that kids under the age of 14 are not permitted to use the e-scooters.
Halifax Harbor bridges were sounding the alarm last week. They say that cyclists and those on e-scooters using the bridge are traveling way too fast across the shared pathway. They're asking riders to slow down and respect the 25-kilometer-per-hour speed limit. E-scooter ridership is up around here, and it's expected the use will continue to grow.
It's giving us another options to move from one point to another, and particularly in the peninsula, Halifax, we have a younger population, student communities.
Michael Brown uses his e-scooter as his main mode of transportation and for work as a food delivery driver. He follows the rules of the road, but says it's the casual user who rents scooters who give riders a bad rep.
I feel like people sometimes use it for recreational uses, and a lot of them don't actually know the road rules. So you can't really blame them too much for making mistakes on the road.
Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
Okay, time for a quick little break here, but when we return, it's your complete maritime weather forecast. It was kind of a pretty perfect July day around here. Kaylin's full forecast coming up next. Tuesday night, 28th day of July today. I feel a little froggy because it felt kind of humid around here today. But hey, no complaints, really.
Yeah, mugginess picked up a little bit in the Maritimes for today. We should remain at this level of humidity over the next couple of days and into the weekend as well. So not really getting into the stifling level, but you'll definitely notice it around. And the next weather system we're keeping track of here in the Maritimes is a low pressure system, broad area of low pressure, in fact, and it's located within a trough of the jet stream. And this entire weather pattern, the low and the trough, is going to be shifting eastward, so that'll bring it a little bit closer towards the Maritimes. It'll increase cloudiness for our region at the end of this week, as well as bring in some scattered showers. Within the showers, a risk or a chance of some embedded heavier showers or a few thunderstorms, so those should be very isolated in their coverage. Now, for tonight for the region, that mugginess that Bruce noted, that's going to be taking a different form. It'll be in the form of some fog. And the fog is going to be thickest and most widespread around the Bay of Fundy coastline in New Brunswick and Atlantic coastal areas of Nova Scotia, though other parts of the Maritimes first thing Wednesday morning could see some reduced visibility, so just keep that in mind for the morning commutes. Now, moving from the morning into the afternoon, the fog will be dissipating or retreating to parts of the coast, and tomorrow afternoon should be a lot like this afternoon was, which will be mostly a mix of sun and cloud, some mugginess in the air, and some generally warm temperatures. Winds in the forecast for tomorrow will be out of the south, and they'll be sustained between 10 and 20 kilometers per hour, maybe a few gusts getting up between 20 and 30. Low temperatures in the forecast around the Maritime region will be falling into a range around the low to mid-teens. And then highs in the forecast for tomorrow for communities in the north of New Brunswick. Most will be around the mid to high 20s, including 26 at Grand Falls, 29 at Miramichi. Fredericton tomorrow with a high temperature near 29 degrees. It'll be 25 at St. Stephen, 20 at Campobello, 21 at Grand Manan, and then 26 at St. John and climbing up to 28 for Moncton. Prince Edward Island, high temperatures at 26 at O'Leary, 27 at Summerside, and then 26 for Charlottetown and Montague. St. Peter's Bay, closer to 24 degrees. Cape Breton tomorrow, around the coastline, high temperatures, low to mid-20s. Towards the interior of Cape Breton, some of those high temperatures will be closer to 27 degrees. Same thing goes for communities on the north shore of Nova Scotia. On the eastern shore, though, with that southerly wind coming in off the ocean waters, most of the high temperatures near the coast between 21 and 24. 29 in the forecast for Truro, 27 for Amherst, and for the Annapolis Valley, high temperatures tomorrow, 27 degrees, but feeling into the low 30s with the humidity. Coastal areas then around the south shore of Nova Scotia and in the southwest with high temperatures of 21 to 23. Taking a look at the extended forecast for New Brunswick coming up on Thursday and Friday. Isolated showers, and that's as that low pressure system and that trough in the jet stream approaches. It's in place. Saturday and Sunday, a mix of sun and cloud, and then for the holiday Monday right now, low chance of some showers. That's followed by a mix of sun and cloud on Tuesday of next week. For Nova Scotia in the forecast, isolated showers on Thursday along with increasing cloudiness. Showers a little bit more widespread for the province on Friday. Then a low chance of showers on Saturday, followed by a mix of sun and cloud on Sunday. Chance of showers on Monday of next week, and a mix of sun and cloud on Tuesday. And here we are for Prince Edward Island. Coming up on Thursday, increasing cloudiness, and then the higher chance of showers at the end of this week will be on Friday for the island. After that, it'll be a low chance of showers on Saturday, mix of sun and cloud on Sunday, chance of showers on Monday of next week, and Tuesday, a mix of sun and cloud. Bruce.
Okay, thank you, my friend. We'll step aside for just a couple of minutes, but stay with us. There's a whole lot more to come.
The #1 morning show in Halifax. Turk, Megan, and Amateur Alex. And home to the biggest artists. Halifax's #1 hit music station. 101.3 Virgin Radio.
So this is unsettling. More than 3.7 million children made contact with Kids Help Phone last year. In fact, the Free Mental Health Service saw a steep increase in contact year over year, especially in its overnight hours. CTV's Ryan McDonald looked into why so many kids are calling for help.
24%. That's the jump in text messages the Kids Help Phone has received across the country during overnight hours since the start of summer compared to the same time last year.
There's no one single factor there, but we're now dealing with the most anxious generation ever raised.
Dr. Simon Sherry works with adolescents and their parents. He says the trend for increasing mental health problems among younger generations was present pre-pandemic and has only gotten worse since.
Different parenting practices, the world we live in today, there would be social media dominating kids' experiences for 4, 6, or even 8 hours a day. There's no one single cause, but when you start to stack these problems on top of each other, we've got a lot of anxiety, depression, and loneliness.
So this is very much something that we're seeing across the country, but quite concentrated in Atlantic Canada.
Indeed, the maritime numbers are more stark. Nova Scotia saw a 26% increase in nighttime texts to kids' help phones, slightly higher than the national average. New Brunswick's spike was much higher, 49%, and Prince Edward Island's was even larger at 59%. Kids' help phone says good advice is to let kids know in the daytime that help is available at night.
It's not necessarily a matter of whether they will, it's likely when. So that element of ensuring that they are aware of these safe supports is really, really important.
At 2 p.m., you've got access to friends, family, neighbors, and others. At 2 a.m., you're often alone in your own thoughts and pain. So it's good something like Kids Help Phone is around.
Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Sydney.
Thank you, Ryan. Time for one final break tonight. Coming up, a lasting memorial after a tragic event. First, though, it is your wake-up weather. Here's a live look at Lunenburg on this Tuesday evening, 17 degrees right now. Kaylin's Wake Up Weather is coming up next. Middle of the week now upon us. Wednesday morning, we'll kick it off with the Wake Up Weather from Kaylin.
Yep, and expecting some fog patches to be around for Wednesday morning, and then after that, moving into the afternoon, a mix of sun and cloud with a generally light wind out of the south. A lot of high temperatures tomorrow, mid to high 20s, away from coastal areas, that is. Directly on the coast, some of those high temperatures low to mid 20s, but still feeling closer to the high 20s with the humidex because some of that mugginess will still be around. Bruce.
All right, thank you, Kaylin. Well, it's been 8 years now since 4 people died in a mass shooting in Fredericton. Last night, a new memorial was unveiled. CTV's Nick Moore has the details.
A blue glow on the St. John River is now a permanent vigil. Guardian is a tribute to first responders honoring 2 Fredericton police officers who were killed responding to a shooting at a Northside apartment complex. 4 people were killed on August 10th, 2018. Constable Rob Costello, Donald Adam Robichaud, Bobby Lee Wright, and Constable Sarah Burns. A makeshift memorial appeared outside the police station hours after the shooting.
Everything from, flowers that were being laid out in front of the police department, calls and emails. Did a lot to strengthen a lot of us going forward and kind of getting through those first few days and first few weeks.
Formal planning for a permanent memorial began about 2 years after the shooting.
That group of the dozen police officers, kudos to them because they knew what it had to be and they gave their time and their dedication to it. They wanted something that would be aspirational and looking at the positivity of people's commitment that are on the police force that protect us.
Retired Chief Martin Gaudette was deputy chief when the shooting happened and says having the memorial on an old Carleton Bridge pier was key.
And you can see it from all corners of this city as you walk around the bridges. You can see it from the police department.
I think the location is beautiful. Center of the city can be appreciated from both sides of the river.
On behalf of all of the families that were affected that day, so thank you.
The blue glow will appear every night and then recede at dawn, providing some light on a dark moment. Nick Moore, CTV News, Fredericton.
Thank you, Nick. That is your late news for tonight. If you joined us late or you'd like another look at any of our stories, you can always visit us online, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. It is your home for news. I'm Bruce Frisco. Thank you for staying up with us tonight. Have a good evening. We'll see you again soon.